Later on, when the friendship comes, then we say, okay, I'm here, I'm doing this. That is the last stage. Materials in method. This section provides all the methodological details necessary for another scientist for duplicate your work. But as I say, again I'm saying the same thing. The 50% of the research you don't find out that detail which you are going to duplicate. Right? Is it right? New researcher. Agree? New researchers agree. Bushra, agree? Agree. So they are agree with my point. It should be narrative of the step you took in your experiment or study, not a list of interaction, just as might find in a cookbook. They are giving very good example. They say cookbook, you know. When you are making something, so this is not a cookbook, so you are going to follow up with it. An important part of writing a scientific paper is deciding what bit of information needed to be given in detail. Do not quote or cite your laboratory manual. They say don't require to quote your laboratory manual or something. And this is the major part of your work, because the other thing you talk about the introduction, this is nothing to do. Abstract is a summary of that thing, and material method. Most of the time we are not inventing any method. Most of the time as a researcher we are following that other people have done. 50% case, more than 50% case. Some of them we do that the processing we change or something we done. So that is become a very important for you look towards the experimental setup or the process you change, or you will develop a new processing system. Then the methodology have more important to give the full detail. Otherwise, if we are following the other methodology and other thing, so we don't require to explain more information on that thing. So when we come on the result and discussion, this is the major issue. When we are writing for the research paper, right? So when we are going to write a research paper, we have the data, we write an introduction, we write an abstract, now time to come to write a paper. So this is the section which is called result and discussion, is a very important. This section presents the result of experiment and attempt to interpret their meaning. Because we don't know that what is the meaning. Sometimes like we do the TGA. So sometimes we say all of a sudden it dawned, the graph. But we don't know what is the reason behind it. So we have to look it, we have to look the different paper, and if the material is similar, we say, oh, this paper, the best thing as a researcher, what we do, we don't understand. So that time we say similar researcher have reported same thing. Understand? So this is the give the strong point to us, because we have get a similar data, and what the other have reported is the similar thing. And sometimes you have your own argument, but it's not a basic science or social science. You have to give a very good what call that your argument, that is say that you are right. Because science is 2 plus 2, 4. But if you go social science, maybe 2 plus 2, 5 argument, you know. So this is a science. We have not go with that just like that. So we have to come with the proof. Do not present the raw data that you collected, but rather you have to summarize the data with text, table and figure. Like for example, when we do the testing, we do 4 samples, 5 samples. So we are not putting the 5 sample data there. We are just putting the average data. If we started to put, then lot of data is there. So you have to only summarize the important thing there in the form of data. Use the text of the paper to state the result of your study. Then refer the reader to a table or figure where it can see the data for themselves. So generally what we do then, we write some line and they say it's illustrated in table 1. It's shown in figure 1. Or it's what called seen in the figure, something we write. Then the figure, and then you are going to explain it further about that thing. And where that can see the data, do not include the same data in both table and figure. So most of the sometime what we do, what we put in figure, we put also the table. No, one thing only you make. You want to make a table or you want to make a figure. So data don't put in the 2 types. The same data you don't put in the table, don't put in the figure. You have to put in the one thing. You should interpret your result in light of other published results, because you have done the work and you are not very renowned professor or something that what you say is accepted. Understand? So you require to interpret your data with other published work. But sometimes what happened that like we are working that like he is working on CV. So So you don't want get the similar paper. So what we say, you will find out the related work, means the material is same, then you quote that paper, because your area nobody have done the work. So from where you get the result to interpret. So you try to find out the other related work which have the similar property related to that one. By adding additional information from source you cited in the introduction section as well as introducing new sources, make sure you provide accurate citation. This is very important, that you will cite the citation, accurate citation. Relate your discussion back to the objective and question you raise in the introduction section. Introduction section, you have some objective, you have some hypothesis. Like for example, you are making something, you have a hypothesis that when I am going to put this thing, it's going to increase or it's going to decrease. So have you achieved that objective in your result or not? So if you achieve, you have to explain that hypothesis is there. Limit your conclusions to those that your data can actually support. You can then proceed to explain on why this occurs and whether you expect this to occur based on the other purpose. First thing they say, what you are giving there, your data support. Don't write something you have no data. So must be you are writing which is you get in the form of figure or in the form of table you put, and that when you are interpreting, that data is supporting your interpretation. And then you have to speculate this occur based on the other finding. Then you look, my result is going up, other also going up, others going down, others my is going up. Then you have to, if that type of negative concept will come, then you have to look what's happening. So in that case, like for example, you look 5 paper. So 5 paper, same thing like a reviewer, 3 in support of you. So majority is there, majority who is supporting your result, 1 is negative. So you try to cite that paper which is supporting you. Don't go with that paper which is negative to you. This is the, I'm not saying this is the right way, because we do not know what type of environment they've done, what type of experiment they've done, because they don't disclose the detailed thing in methodology. So maybe the temperature, pressure, other thing, there is a difference. So you have to follow that which suit to you. Suggest future direction for your research, new method, explanation for deviation from the previous. Also, if you feel that your result is deviated from the other, so you try to give the reason why it happened. Like you put something, or you change the process, you change the methodology, you put something additional. So you have to put the reason why it's happening, what we call the negative result. Like for example, simple, I'm showing my own PhD. So when I do the hybrid, my hypothesis is that I'm taking the oil palm fiber and I will put the jute fiber. Jute fiber is a bast fiber. So when I'm going to put in oil palm fiber, the property is going to increase. And that time as a student, I don't know that oil palm have better toughness than the jute fiber. So when I do the hybridization, oil palm hybrid, when I hybridize with jute and oil palm, the impact factor, impact property go down. So the result is negative. So initial stage I have hope, because as a researcher I say hypothesis go fail, because my purpose to improve the property of oil palm fiber, but here I am looking that impact properties is going to down. Then I go to search. Then I look microfibril angle, roughness, a lot of things I cite, and then I able to prove why it's going to negative. So we publish the negative result, there is no problem. So because of that, they say when you have explanation for deviation from previous result, you have to give the future direction of why it's happening. You don't be havoc with the negative result. You have to explain why it happened. And when you are going to cite the sources, as I said, it is important to cite sources in the discussion section of paper as the evidence of the claim you are making. What you are saying, that is the right, you will cite some paper in support of that your result. There are ways of citing sources in the text so that the reader can find the full reference. So you have to give the full information of that reference, so that people want to look the cross reference of your work, what you cited, they easily get it. And make sure you give a full citation reference for all sources mentioned in the text. But most of the time when we get the proofreading, if we mistake, they will ask this citation you put in the text, but you don't put in the reference. So they will take from us. Especially when we are writing a review paper, because lot of reference 170 or something, so sometimes we forget to cite. So when it comes to proofreading, they will point out that type of things. References, when you are going to do the references, you require to, this is the last section of paper. You should provide an, I think, conclusion. I just checked it, that conclusion is, I don't put the conclusion. Unfortunately, there is no conclusion here. Okay. So, but the things I explained before the reference. When you are going to write a conclusion, because every journal required the conclusion. So when you are going to write a conclusion, you don't require to write a conclusion 1 page or 2 pages. You just write a half-page conclusion, and in that conclusion, most of the paper I looked at, they repeat the introduction and abstract. They again write in the conclusion. They write, I done this experiment, I make no need to write in the conclusion that introduction, how I prepared, how I do, no need. Conclusion, you will conclude what is the major finding you get from this, especially from your research. And if you are very good, you will give the future direction. Future direction means that we have the further lacking in this field, so in the future research, some of the people done, we are going to work on this one, that one. But you have to conclude only the major result. Don't repeat introduction and everything again, no need. Just only write the trend, where it go your property, and what the hypothesis will fulfill from the conclusion or not. Because you have the hypothesis that you are going to do this thing, going to decrease, going to increase, or going to nothing to happen. So you have to, in the conclusion, don't repeat the abstract. Because you already write the abstract, you have the introduction. So try to, if possible, 1 line or 2 lines you write. But don't put everything in the conclusion. Conclusion, just write concise from the major finding from the research. So no need to repetition. So now we come on to the reference. This is the last section of your paper. You should provide an alphabetical or numbering according to the occurrence in your paper. Listing of all the published work you cited in the text of the paper. What the things you have to check, that that you put the 15 number reference is there or not. You have to cross check. A standard format is used for cite reference in the text and to this. Like for example, some of them, as I said, they use alphabetical. Some of use numbering. Some they don't want bracket, they just want 1 dot. And recently I saw one journal, they want superscript, even the reference, Funny thing, first journal I saw, they are in the reference, they are asking the 1 in superscript. Other they want in the simple way. So what they want we have to do. We don't argue with them why they are asking that type of thing. So what they are saying to do, we just format according to that format. And literature, consult a recent issue, as I said, means if you have any confusion, anything, so you have to look the recent, because sometimes what is written in author guideline is not much clear. So that case you have to go to the recent issue of that. Like for example, now you are in 2015, so most of the journal have June, July issue is available. So you have to look the recent issue of not one, because sometimes, as I say, they publish the paper but they don't follow the exact format, because it overlooked by reviewer, overlooked by technical team, because they are also human. So you have to look 2-3 paper recent published, and then you look who is the right according to the author's guideline they mention. They follow that same author's guideline or not. For paper publishing, you must provide the date, title, journal name, volume number, page number. For book, you need to publish date, title, publisher, and place of publication. Generally, they ask. But some of them, like for example, nowadays, like for example, I don't put the issue, because some of the journal, they don't want the issue number. But most of them, they want volume number and page number. But some of them also want issue number. Like 25 volume, but bracket, they want issue, 1, 2, something. So there is a style. So you have to follow that style. If they want the issue number, you have to put the issue number. As I say, I am saying from that one, reference management software is available through the university, through the online system. So that will make your life very easy. software citation, software personal bibliography management software, which we'll use for utilizing the bibliography.